Welcome back to the Team to Be Miami Heat podcast, your one-stop shop for daily Miami Heat content. My name is Amir. So for today's episode, I want to talk about a report that came out from Ira Winderman, and it stated that the Miami Heat are reportedly in ongoing discussions with former Miami Heat player Precious Achiuwa. So Precious Achiuwa was the Miami Heat's 2020 first-round pick, and we could possibly be seeing a reunion. And so for today's episode, we're going to break it down. So Precious Achiuwa, according to Ira Winderman, basically said that the Miami Heat are in active talks with Achiuwa, who's a free agent right now, formerly played for the New York Knicks and Toronto Raptors, and of course the Miami Heat. And the Miami Heat have one roster spot open, and they desperately do need a backup center behind Kel'el Ware. Right now, the Miami Heat's front court lineup is Bam Adebayo at the power forward, possibly Kel'el Ware starting at center, and we have Niko Jovic coming off the bench as our 3 or 4. So right now, we don't have a backup center, and that is a role we need to fulfill, and we need to do that through trade or through free agency because our depth at center is very thin, and the Miami Heat like revisiting former players. This seems like a reoccurring strategy, and with that last roster spot, Precious Achiuwa could be a good fit possibly for this Miami Heat team. Look, the 15th man on this roster is probably not going to play a lot, and Spo does like playing small ball anyway, so I don't see any of the backup bigs getting significant time. We saw a bunch of bad players come in through our system, like Deadman and Zeller and other players like that. Yurt Seven, so undrafted guys, veterans on the minimum scale contracts, and they haven't really panned out. Thomas Bryant, they don't get a ton of playing time, so I don't think Precious would get a lot of time if he did play with this Miami Heat team. But even if we did sign him to a minimum salary, that would push the Miami Heat over the luxury tax line. So any move will require some finessing. And right now, Bam Adebayo remains the anchor as our big man on the Miami Heat team, but he prefers playing power forward. And so he doesn't want to play center anymore. So my assumption is because of that, then Kalel is going to start next to him at the 5 to start the season. I could see Nico, who's had a great summer at Eurobasket, possibly start next to Bam and Adebayo, perhaps, but there's not a lot of options right now in general for the center. We have Kel'el Ware and two-way rookie Vlad Golden, who probably is not going to be in the rotation. So he's not proven at all and doesn't look that great. So adding Precious Achiuwa back to this team could be okay of an idea. Like he does add versatility, some switchability. He does play with energy. He's not a bad rebounder, and he could fill in that needed gap as a backup center, but he's not a true center. And I kind of want the Miami Heat to get a bruising Steven Adams type of guy off of the bench versus Precious Achiuwa. But a quick refresher, Precious was the Miami Heat's 2020 first round pick, number 20 overall. He was the guy who we picked over Tyrese Maxey, which you couldn't have predicted what Maxey was going to become, but still terrible pick. And after one season with the Miami Heat, averaging 5 points per game, 3.4 rebounds in 12 minutes, he was traded in the Kyle Lowry sign and trade deal to the Toronto Raptors. Like I mentioned earlier, after the time he spent in Toronto, he eventually landed with the New York Knicks, re-signing last offseason on a one-year deal. And now he's a free agent. They didn't re-sign him. He put up some respectable numbers off the bench, 6.6 points, 5.6 rebounds, on around 53% shooting, which is fine. And as noted in the episode, the Miami Heat are just 1.8 million below the luxury tax, and they don't want to get the repeater tax. And so that's not enough for a free agent minimum deal without exceeding the tax threshold, and the Miami Heat don't want to do that. So one solution that has been discussed online and in the report is possibly buying out or waiving Terry Rozier, who they're trying to desperately trade, who has a guaranteed contract of $24 million. And by waiving him, essentially, they could free up $1.72 million if moved, which means they can sign a Precious Achiuwa and still be under the tax. So Not sure that's the best move. I think I'd rather hold on to Terry just in case we deal with injuries, just in case more likely we can add him a salary filler for a bigger trade before the trade deadline. So I don't think I would want to waive him necessarily. And I also don't think Terry Rozier can possibly be as bad as he was last year, but I could be wrong. It just seemed like he totally forgot how to play basketball. I don't think he's a good player, but I don't think he was as bad as he was last year. Last year was historically bad for him. He's shown that he's been clutch in the playoffs before when he was with Boston. He's shown that he's been able to score with efficiency on a crappy team, but just the fall off was insane with the Miami Heat last year. So, not sure I would want to waive him per se as a route to getting Precious Achua back on this team. But I don't think it's a bad idea. Again, bringing in Precious, someone who has like a high motor and energy, would add athleticism and energy again to this thin front court. He's not a stretch five. He's not a real scorer, but he does have versatility again defensively. He hustles, which the Miami Heat loves. So that could prove critical, especially with the rebounding, defensive rebounding. We've been a bad defensive rebounding team for the past 3 to 5 years. And so having him, who's a solid rebounder off the bench, could be good playing next to Nico because Nico doesn't really rebound that great as well either for someone who's 6'10". So anyway, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think adding Precious Achua back onto this roster makes a lot of sense? I'm 50-50. I can go either way, but it's the 15th man right now at this point, so he's not going to really have an impact anyway on the season. So I'd rather have Kai Jones, who's been rumored to join the Miami Heat, or possibly someone else. But hey, who knows? We'll see what happens. Anyway, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.